long time ago, in a quiet little village nestled near the edge of a great and mysterious forest, there lived a poor woodcutter named Minho. Minho was known throughout the village as a kind and gentle man. Every morning, before the sun rose, he would gather his simple tools and walk deep into the forest to chop wood. His life was not easy, and he struggled to support his small family, but Minho never lost hope. He worked hard each day, dreaming of a better life. One cold winter morning, the forest was covered in a thick blanket of snow. The trees stood tall and silent, their branches heavy with frost. Minho set out with his axe, determined to find enough wood to sell at the market. As he swung his axe into a large tree, he suddenly heard a deep, booming laugh echoing through the woods. Startled, he turned around slowly and saw a strange figure standing just beyond the shadows. In the middle of the clearing stood a tall, mysterious figure. It was a goblin, but unlike any creature Minho had ever heard of in stories. The goblin's eyes sparkled brightly, full of wisdom and kindness, and a gentle smile curved across its face. In its hand, the goblin held a wooden club that shimmered with magic, glowing softly as if it had a life of its own. Minho's heart pounded with a mixture of fear and wonder. But the goblin's voice was calm and warm as it spoke. "Do not be afraid, Minho. I have watched you for many days, and I have seen your kindness and your hard work. You are a man with a good heart. Because of this, I want to give you a special gift." Minho blinked, still unsure if he was dreaming. "A gift?" he asked quietly, stepping closer to the goblin. "Yes," the goblin replied, holding out the glowing club. "This is my magic club. It has the power to grant your wishes, but only if you use it wisely. It will not work for greed or selfishness. If your heart stays pure and your wishes are made to help others, the club will bring great good to you and your village." Minho took the club carefully, feeling the warmth of its magic pulse through his fingers. The wood was smooth and strong, and the glow filled him with hope. "I promise," he said earnestly, "I will use this club only for good. I will never let greed or selfishness rule my heart." The goblin nodded approvingly. "Remember this promise, Minho. The true magic of the club lies not in the power it holds, but in the goodness of the one who wields it." With those final words, the goblin slowly faded into the shadows of the forest, leaving Minho standing alone in the quiet clearing, the glowing club warm in his hand. Though his mind was full of questions, Minho's heart felt lighter than it had in many years. He turned and began the journey back home, his footsteps feeling lighter, as if the magic itself was guiding him forward. On the path home, Minho wondered how his life might change. Could this gift help him build a better future for his family? Could he use it to bring happiness to his struggling village? He thought about the promise he made to the goblin and felt determined to honor it. As he reached the edge of the forest, the first rays of the morning sun peeked through the trees, warming his face. Minho smiled to himself and tightened his grip on the magic club. No longer just a poor woodcutter, he felt a new sense of hope blossoming inside him. A hope that kindness and hard work combined with a little magic, could change everything. When Minho finally returned home, he carefully set down the magic club on the wooden table inside his small hut. The club felt warm to the touch, as if it held a heartbeat of its own, pulsing softly with a strange but comforting energy. Minho's fingers trembled slightly as he reached out to hold it again, wondering if the goblin's promise was real. Could this simple wooden club truly grant wishes? Gathering his courage, Minho decided to test its power. He looked around his humble home, a tiny, worn-down hut with cracked walls and a roof that barely kept out the cold winter wind. His family huddled together, wrapped in threadbare blankets, their faces pale from hunger and cold. Minho took a deep breath and whispered softly, "I wish for a warm and cozy house." In an instant, the air around him shimmered with magic. The cracked walls melted away and were replaced by sturdy wooden beams and smooth stone. The roof grew thick and strong, covered in wooden shingles that seemed to glow with the golden light of the sun. Inside, a fire crackled cheerfully in the hearth, sending warmth into every corner of the room. Soft rugs and comfortable furniture appeared where there had been nothing but cold floors. Minho's small hut had transformed into a beautiful cottage, safe and warm against the harsh winter outside. His wife gasped in amazement, and his children's eyes sparkled with wonder. Tears of joy filled their faces as they hugged Minho tightly. "How did this happen?" his wife whispered. Minho smiled but said only, "It is a gift." Encouraged by the magic's power, Minho made another wish. "I wish for food," he said quietly. Immediately, a sturdy wooden table appeared in the center of the cottage, piled high with delicious dishes, fresh vegetables, steaming rice, roasted meats, and sweet fruits. The rich aromas filled the room, making everyone's stomachs growl in delight. For the first time in many months, Minho's family sat together around a table full of food, sharing laughter and warmth. Days passed, and Minho realized that this magic club could do more than just improve his own life. His heart was filled with kindness, and he wanted to help others who were struggling like him. The village had always been poor, but now, with the magic club, Minho had the power to change their fate. When a terrible storm destroyed the crops of the village's main farmer, Minho hurried to his side. The farmer looked hopeless, staring at the ruined fields. Minho raised the magic club and wished, "I wish for a bountiful harvest." The fields around them shimmered as green shoots sprouted quickly, growing tall and strong overnight. The farmer's eyes widened in disbelief as golden grains ripened under the sun. The village would not go hungry this year. When a child in the village fell seriously ill, the entire community was filled with worry. Minho visited the child's home and gently touched the club to the sickbed. "I wish for this child's health to return," he whispered. Slowly, the child's cheeks regained their rosy glow, and the fever faded. The village rejoiced, grateful for Minho's kindness and the magic that seemed to flow through him. The villagers soon came to respect Minho not just as a woodcutter, but as a guardian of their hope and happiness. The once poor village grew prosperous and peaceful. Neighbors helped one another, sharing food and warmth, inspired by Miho's example. Word of Miho's good fortune spread quickly throughout the village like wildfire. At first, people were amazed and curious about the sudden change in his life, but soon they began to realize that Miho's kindness was the true source of his blessings. One by one, villagers came to Miho's door asking for help, and not once did he turn any of them away. His heart overflowed with generosity, and he believed deeply that sharing what he had was the true meaning of happiness. Miho's magic club was not just a tool for granting wishes. It was a symbol of hope for the entire village. With every wish he made, Miho thought about how he could bring joy and relief to those around him. When an elderly woman struggled to repair her broken roof, Miho wished for strong, new wood to replace the old beams. When children had no warm clothes for the cold winter, he wished for soft, thick garments to keep them cozy. His simple acts of kindness grew into a wave of compassion that touched every home. Slowly but surely, Miho's generosity brought the villagers closer together. They began to work as a community, rebuilding old, crumbling homes and repairing fences. Neighbors helped one another care for the sick, bringing food and comfort to those in need. Together, they planted new crops in the fields, hoping to ensure a good harvest in the coming seasons. The village, once quiet and lonely, became alive with laughter, songs, and the busy hum of shared effort. Children played freely in the streets, no longer worried about hunger or cold. The markets filled with fresh fruits and vegetables, and the air smelled sweet with the scent of blooming flowers and ripening grain. The village was transformed into a place of joy and friendship, a place where hope had taken root and was flourishing. But amidst all this happiness, not everyone was pleased. In the shadowed corners of the village, a man named Jang watched with envy and bitterness. Jang was known for his greed and selfishness, always thinking only of his own wealth and power. He saw how the villagers admired Miho and whispered stories about the magic club's power. Jang's heart burned with jealousy. "I must have that club," Jang muttered to himself one cold evening, his eyes gleaming with greed. "With its magic, I will become the richest and most powerful man in the world. No one will stand in my way." Unlike Miho, Jang cared nothing for kindness or community. He dreamed only of endless wealth, grand lands, and control over the village. His selfish desires blinded him to the true lesson of the goblin's gift, the power of a good heart. One quiet night, when the whole village was fast asleep under the blanket of darkness, Jang crept silently through the snowy streets. The moon cast a pale glow on the frozen ground, and the only sound was the crunch of his footsteps as he approached Miho's cottage. Inside, a soft fire flickered in the hearth, warming the small home where Miho and his family slept peacefully, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Jang's eyes gleamed with greed as he slipped through the door and searched quickly for the magic club. His heart pounded with excitement and selfish delight. Finally, resting against the wooden wall, he spotted the glowing club, its faint light pulsing like a heartbeat. Without hesitation, Jang snatched it up. With a cruel laugh, he shouted into the stillness of the night. "Now, I will have all the riches in the world." His voice echoed through the empty rooms as he held the club tightly in his hands. From that moment, Jang's life changed, at least at first. He began to use the magic club to grant his wildest desires. "I wish for piles of gold," he commanded, and heaps of shining coins spilled into his arms. "I wish for vast lands and mighty castles," he demanded, and his empty fields transformed into grand estates. Treasures of unimaginable beauty appeared before his eyes: gems, silks, and fine horses, all his for the taking. For a time, Jang lived like a king. He wore fine clothes, feasted on rich foods, and ruled over the village with an iron fist. But with each wish he made, something inside him changed. His heart, once just filled with greed, grew cold and heavy. He cared no longer for the villagers or their needs. Instead, he demanded more gold, more power, more control. He ignored the hungry, turned away the sick, and treated everyone with harshness and cruelty. The laughter and joy that had once filled the village were replaced by fear and sadness. People whispered quietly about the man who had stolen the magic club and changed for the worse. But the magic club was not made for selfishness. It had been given to Minho because of his kind and generous heart. The club's magic was tied deeply to the spirit of the one who held it. As Jang's greed grew stronger, the magic began to weaken. Slowly, the shining treasures disappeared. The piles of gold turned to dust. The castles crumbled into ruins, and the fine horses vanished into the cold night. Jang's power slipped away like water through his fingers. One morning, Jang awoke to find his grand estate empty and silent. The magic club lay cold and dull in his hands, no longer glowing with light. He was left with nothing: no riches, no land, no magic. His greedy heart had caused him to lose everything he had gained. Alone and poor, Jang wandered the village, hoping for forgiveness or help, but the villagers kept their distance. They remembered how he had treated them and feared his cruel ways. When Minho heard the news of Jang's downfall, his heart grew heavy with sadness. Though Jang had been driven by greed and had caused much pain to the village, Minho still felt compassion for the man who had once lived among them. That night, under the pale light of the moon, Minho knelt outside his cottage and prayed earnestly to the mysterious goblin who had given him the magic club. "Please," Minho whispered, "help me protect our village and guide us all to the right path. Teach us the meaning of kindness and the dangers of greed." Days passed quietly, but Minho's hope never wavered. Then, one early morning, as the first rays of sunlight pierced through the forest, the goblin appeared again. His eyes sparkled with wisdom and warmth as he looked upon Minho. "Minho," said the goblin gently, "your kindness has saved many in this village. Because of your pure heart, I return to you the magic club. But remember well the lesson it carries. True happiness does not come from wealth or power, but from sharing and caring for one another." The goblin handed back the wooden club, now glowing brighter than ever. as if renewed by Minho's sincere promise. "I vow to use this gift wisely," Minho replied, his voice steady and humble. "I will always think of others before myself and use this power to bring joy and peace to everyone around me." Minho used the magic club to help those in need. When a family was cold in winter, he wished for warmth to fill their homes. When a child was hungry, he wished for food to be shared. When the fields struggled under a harsh summer sun, he wished for rain to nourish the crops. Every wish was made with love and thoughtfulness. Slowly, the village blossomed into a place of friendship and happiness. The villagers, inspired by Minho's example, began helping one another without expecting anything in return. They mended each other's homes, cared for the sick, and worked together to plant and harvest crops. The magic club became more than a tool. It became a symbol of hope and kindness. Wherever Minho went, the people felt the warmth of his heart and the glow of the club's magic. It was a reminder that the greatest treasure one can have is a generous spirit. Minho taught the children of the village about the true meaning of happiness. He told them, "Wealth may fill your pockets, but kindness fills your heart. Share what you have, care for each other, and you will find joy that lasts forever." Years passed, and the story of Minho and the Magic Club became a beloved tale, passed down from one generation to the next. The villagers never forgot the lesson that the goblin had shared. Greed brings loss and loneliness, but kindness brings connection and peace. In the end, Minho and his village lived happily ever after, surrounded not by riches or treasures, but by friendship, love, and a community united in kindness.